the global game of market dominance. Okay, let's dive right into this. There's this really common myth out there, and I hear it all the time, that a super robust, powerful stock market just means having thousands upon thousands of listed companies. Like, more is automatically better, right? We kind of tend to think it's just this massive numbers game. But honestly, that fundamentally misunderstands how the modern global economy actually ticks. So we really have to ask ourselves, does quantity actually equal wealth in the stock market? Well, that's the trillion-dollar question, isn't it? But here's the thing. When we actually peek under the hood and look at the data, a totally different, kind of wild reality emerges. The real game, it's actually about a shockingly small number of companies capturing just an insane amount of the world's total value. And once we wrap our heads around this together, I promise you it's going to completely change how you look at investing and the global economy. Now, what's really interesting about this ranking of countries by their global market cap is, well, let's look at the raw data. Right at the top, you've got the United States sitting at a towering $76.8 trillion. Then you roll down the list, China, Japan, the UK, Canada, and India. But look closely at that companies count column on the far right. The US has over 3,500 listed companies, which at first glance seems to totally back up that myth we just talked about, right? Lots of companies, lots of wealth. But as we move down this list and actually compare the market caps to those company counts, a completely different story starts to unfold.
Let's just anchor ourselves on that massive scale for a quick second. $76.8 trillion. I mean, that is the total value of the United States stock market. It's a number so outrageously large, it's kind of hard for the human brain to even process. We're talking over half of the entire world's public equity value. But how is that massive number actually built? If the myth holds up, you'd think, okay, that $76.8 trillion is spread out fairly evenly across all those 3,500 plus American companies, right? Well, remember our big question about whether quantity equals wealth? We're about to pull back the curtain on the market's hidden rule of concentration, and it's wild.
Because here is the staggering reality. Out of that entire $76.8 trillion pie we just talked about, just the top 10 companies, just 10, are worth roughly $27.5 trillion. Let that sink in for a second. 10 companies make up nearly 36% of the entire U.S. market value. You've got literally thousands of other companies making up the remaining 64%, but more than a third of the wealth is concentrated in just 10 single entities. This concentration right here, this is the hidden architecture of global market dominance. It's not this broad, flat, even landscape. It's more like a landscape completely dominated by just a few massive towering peaks.
So who exactly are these giants? Well, you absolutely know their names. NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, Tesla, Broadcom, Berkshire Hathaway. America dominates because it has built these absolute world-dominating enterprises. The entire world, literally, relies on their specific innovations. We're talking NVIDIA's AI chips, Microsoft's cloud computing, Amazon's massive logistics network. These aren't just your local neighborhood businesses. This is global infrastructure. Their market values are massive, simply because the global dependency on them is massive.
And this brilliantly illustrates the point when we zoom out and look globally. Take India and Canada, for example. Both have hundreds of companies and sit around, $4 trillion in total market value. Okay, fair enough. But now, look at South Korea and Taiwan. South Korea only has 138 listed companies. Taiwan, just 112. Yet their total market values are incredibly close to India and Canada, sitting right around $3.9 trillion and $3.8 trillion respectively. So how on earth can countries with a fraction of the listed companies hold almost the exact same amount of total wealth?
Well, the answer is that South Korea and Taiwan have successfully produced massive, incredibly dominant global champions. They are home to absolute titans like Samsung, SK Hynix, and TSMC. Just like the American tech giants we just looked at, these aren't just, really successful local companies, they are the actual bedrock of modern technology. I mean, without TSMC's manufacturing or SK Hynix's memory chips, the global economy would literally grind to a halt. When a country produces a company that the world simply cannot function without, market value concentrates incredibly fast. It completely overrides the need for having thousands of smaller companies.
So the crucial point is this. The stock market emphatically does not reward mere quantity. You don't win the global wealth game simply by listing more businesses. No way. The market rewards absolute global dominance. It rewards relentless innovation, massive profits, and creating products that result in deep, undeniable global dependency. Market capitalization, at the end of the day, is essentially just a measurement of how much the world relies on what a company produces. Basically, the more indispensable you are, the more wealth concentrates right at your doorstep.
Now let's shift gears for a minute and talk about what this actually means for you and me. Because honestly, this is where it gets truly empowering. One of the biggest advantages of living in North America, or frankly just having access to its financial systems, is the incredible ease of access we have to these wealth-generating machines. Think about it for a second. You and I, we don't need to sit in a garage and personally invent the next NVIDIA. We don't have to spend decades building the logistical empire of an Amazon. As investors, we can easily buy and own small pieces of these global giants right through the stock market. We can literally let the smartest engineers and the most ruthless CEOs in the world go to work for us every single day.
Let's move to and see how this builds into a highly practical playbook for your own financial life. Because look, having access is a super powerful opportunity, but only if we use it wisely, right? So here are 3 simple rules to leverage this reality. Number 1, respect concentration. Understand that a really small set of dominant companies drives the market. Number 2, respect valuation. Even the absolute greatest, most dominant global champion out there can be a terrible investment if you wildly overpay for its stock. And number 3, respect risk. Guys, this is not a casino. Don't gamble. You need to build a long-term plan, actually understand the businesses you're buying, and stay incredibly consistent over the years.
Because at the end of the day, wealth is not some exclusive monopoly reserved only for the ultra-rich. True, lasting wealth is very often just the result of ordinary, focused people following these basic, simple rules for a very long period of time. It's consistency plus time that makes the magic of compounding really work. So, the question is, are you ready to stop focusing on all the noise of thousands of companies and start focusing on the few that truly run the world? If you found this explainer eye-opening, do me a favor and share it with one friend who might need a bit of a mindset shift. And make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive explainer in this investing mindset series. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.